Hey, welcome back to Talk of Alabama, everyone. We know we are coming up on graduation season. A lot of athletes struggle after sports end. And within the past year, the recruiting process has also been affected. The number of athletic scholarships available for high school athletes decreased. And that means right now there are more athletes than normal who are experiencing the heartbreak of sports ending. This morning we are talking to Michael Barham, who has a new book called When the Ball Goes Flat. He is helping athletes through the transition process after sports. Michael, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Why did you want to write this? Why did you want to tell people about this process, this transition?
Well, I started coaching high school basketball at McEnroe High School in 2012, and I knew I myself had went through the struggles of the transition, but I didn't know it was a thing until I became a high school basketball coach. And year after year, we celebrate the kids who go on to college and, do things, and even those who actually go who don't get a scholarship. But we have the signing days, and the kids who typically don't get scholarships, they have that struggle in transition and finding purpose, finding what's next. They're going into becoming an adult. That's kind of scary, and it's just been a hard process. So I wrote it as a tangible guide to kind of help fill that gap and fill that need.
Certainly, yes. So many high school athletes rather, who maybe they don't want to go on to college sports. Maybe they didn't get that scholarship. Maybe it's just not in the cards for them. But for maybe 4 years of their high school career, they've had this structure in place. They've had the discipline, and they've had that to rely on, the sports to rely on, their athletic programs. And then all of a sudden it's gone. So what does that look like? Some of those students who are maybe struggling with the transition, what would that look like maybe for parents or grandparents who are watching, who want to know?
Well, for a lot of them, sports was a discipline for them. Their time was full, their schedules was full, and some of them typically have a lot more free time, which they can probably get into trouble. Some of them go through a process of depression, feeling a little lost and feeling helpless. And so it can be a little rough, which typically causes them to get into things that they normally wouldn't, because you had that structure, you had that discipline, you had those rules set into place. And once those rules, those boundaries, and they're able to live on their own, they're going through and growing through the process of life. And sometimes that can be hard, especially when they feel like they're doing it on their own.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. So what could parents or grandparents, family members, friends do for these athletes who may be experiencing that right now?
Well, outside of getting the book that I purchased, I think the biggest thing is just reiterating that they still have value inside of them. They still have highlights ahead of them, just as well as they had highlights behind them. Helping them to understand that they can be more than an athlete, and being more than an athlete is a big thing. I think a lot of times athletes spend their entire lives building up the athlete, but they don't build the person. And so just help them through that process of letting them know, we clapped and we cheered when they, shot a shot, when they scored a touchdown, when they knocked a home run out of the park. Cheer them on when they do certain things inside of life. And I firmly believe what is praised is repeated. So if we continue to praise those things outside of sports, then they'll begin to see the fulfillment. They'll begin to find their purpose. They'll begin to be excited about their transition in life after sports.
Certainly, yeah, and some of those methods I'm sure are available in your book, When the Ball Goes Flat. Now, I'm learning, that you have actually a virtual conference going on too to help some of those athletes. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. On May 22nd, I'll be doing a virtual conference to help address some of the heartbreak that is about to happen. Not only myself, but I'll bring in individuals who were athletes that transition, and they'll get fulfillment with different things. So whether it's a doctor, whether it's a videographer, people who have transitioned out of sports, who are athletes who experienced it, that can also tell them what it looks like on the other side, and how excited they are after the ball has gone flat in their lives.
That maybe, sports is not the end-all be-all. This is not all that everything that they can aspire to. There are other goals that they can aspire to and accomplish, certainly. Michael, where can we find your book?
You can find my book. I'm doing pre-orders right now on my website, michaelbarhamelevates.com. michaelbarhamelevates.com. You will also find the information or the sign-up form for the free virtual conference in May.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Michael. We certainly appreciate your information. And a good resource maybe for parents, grandparents, family members who see their children might need a little bit of help here in the next few months. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
We have to take a quick commercial break. More TOA is headed your way next.